Welcome to the Chamber Vibes podcast with your host, Brittany Timmons, the Greater Guthrie Chamber of Commerce CEO and President. In this podcast, you will hear from local guests who will discuss topics such as leadership, small business, and our vibrant community. You'll also hear success stories and tips from amazing local businesses, dive into important news, meet community leaders, and find out how you can get involved in our community. From the Second Banana Media Studios in beautiful and historic downtown Guthrie, America, here is Brittany Timmons.
Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm here for another episode of Chamber Vibes, and I am with my good friend Terry Bobo with Environmental Management. How are you doing today, Terry?
Doing great.
Doing great. All right, so EMI, been here a long time in Guthrie, yes. Yes, I always say let's dive right in, because that's what we do. We're just going to dive right in to the history. Tell me a little bit about EMI.
Well, environmental management was started in September of 1983,
Okay.
and then moved to Guthrie in November of 1987
Okay. So where were you prior to Guthrie?
in Oklahoma City.
Okay.
Is where the our terminal facility was, and we also had an office area in Edmond.
Okay.
The initial offices in Edmond were in a garage at my house.
Okay.
So that's how we started, and the had people ask me why I wanted a big garage space for an office that we were starting.
Right.
So
Yeah. Okay. So what made you get into this line of work? And we'll talk a little bit more about what the line of work is too.
Right,
But
okay.
Yeah. So talk about kind of how you got into this.
well, my background is chemistry, and I was the chief of a fire and rescue unit. I also worked for one of the large nation or worldwide actually waste companies and hazardous material companies, Waste Management. And I've worked in research laboratories also. So I had the background of the waste management, the hazardous materials, and handling and processing those items. Mm-hmm. And then from there, just saw the need of medium to smaller generators of waste were having trouble managing their waste. Most of the large companies wanted to deal with a large generator, someone that was generating a truckload or two a month. And if somebody only had a half a truckload a month, they didn't want to mess with those people.
Right.
It wasn't enough for them to really deal with. So, and those were the companies that needed more help. Mm-hmm. So another gentleman and I went out and started doing that and handling and working with things, and built from there to do remediation services and emergency response, and just kind of tried to follow what the client said they needed, what the industry needed in things.
Right. So you just dove right in and said,
Yes.
okay, saw the need, created the company.
Right.
And then you said in 1987, you got to Guthrie? You got the property in Guthrie?
We moved to Guthrie, and we bought the property, and it was either October or November of 87.
Hey, I wasn't even asking you the months. So
It was
the fact that you're getting down to the months is impressive.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay. And we chose the location, one, because it was in an area that was not over an aquifer,
Right.
so that our waste handling and waste storage was easily permitted. Mm-hmm. It was close to the interstate,
Right.
on a major highway. Mm-hmm. So that all those pieces fit together. When we found a piece of property that had been a oil field tank truck terminal, and we bought that terminal area and then started building from there.
Wow, that's cool. So how many employees did you start out with?
I have to think a minute here. we started out with 4. There were 4 total people in the company.
Wow. Just handling all of this cleanup and different things at the beginning,
Right.
and then you slowly grew.
Had
So
one person doing all the billing,
Right.
and 3 people doing more field work and working with things. And, right.
got ya. So tell everyone what is environmental management? What exactly do you do? I know, but our listeners or viewers may not know. So.
Okay. Well, environmental management is a full-service environmental firm managing and handling hazardous materials and industrial waste. So it's all types of things that are generated that from industry locations, and then that are hazardous in nature. Under the federal regulations, the state regulations.
Okay. So what does that look like? A semi has a spill and they call you, like kind of give us a scenario of a typical project, which I know every project is a totally different bear in your world. But.
Well, and let me, before I just talk about a project, let me tell you the phases of the company. Okay, the emergency response, which you brought up, is kind of what we're known for nationwide.
Right.
But there's actually kind of 3 phases, and that's the emergency response, and then the site remediation, which is planned projects to go out and do cleanups or deal with different materials, and then the routine waste handling. So, and that there's about a third, and a third of our workload.
Okay.
And then the kind of the other little pieces that we do are the consulting activities and training classes for different people in that area.
Of how to handle different materials, things like that. Okay.
We teach about 40 different classes.
Oh, wow.
That are classes. Most of them are required classes, either under EPA, state regs, or the federal motor carrier regulations.
Okay.
Now, a spill response type item, we do 3 to 8 spills a day across the nation.
Wow.
And in dealing with that, we have roughly 1,600 subcontractors that we work with. And obviously, if we have a spill in California, we can't get there timely enough to deal with that. So we have contractors in all over the country, different areas, that we work with on a routine basis. Now, the types of spills that we have, we've cleaned up things as small as 5 gallons of gasoline that were spilled.
Okay.
Some of the more kind of oddball spills that people don't think about. We cleaned up a butter spill on I-40. Wow. And people are like, well, why would you be called to clean up butter? It's not hazardous. Well, in the summertime in Oklahoma, if you put 20,000 pounds of butter on I-40, it becomes very hazardous because the butter
sizzling.
all melts and it's all slick and major issue.
Dangerous.
To have to get all that cleaned up and get the road surface back to where it's not slick.
Right.
We've cleaned up gravel spills. Had a gravel truck that lost control and was hanging over when I-40 was still the elevated highway. A gravel truck was hanging over the edge of I-40, dumping gravel down onto a roadway below that. So the same kind of thing. Well, gravel's not really hazardous. Well, if it's falling off of a bridge down onto a highway below, it becomes hazardous in dealing with that. And then we deal with things that are very toxic from time to time, different types of chemicals. One of the things that we dealt with that was kind of an unusual spill, a tractor trailer truck was loaded with some drums of hydrochloric acid, and they also had a whole bunch of pallets of computer monitors in the truck, and then a few pallets of hydrochloric acid that were in 5-gallon containers. It was coming up the Indian Nation Turnpike.
Yes.
As it was coming up Indian Nations, the truck literally blew up.
Oh my gosh.
It blew the back doors out of the truck, pushed it forward, and we were called to respond. And the shipper was like, we don't know what's going on. The transporter, we have no idea why this truck blew up.
Right.
We get there and we're going through and there was spilled hydrochloric acid in the back of the truck, and we're cleaning it up and looking at it and trying to figure out what was going on. And there was a second truckload of the same type materials. They were traveling together. We got this one cleaned up and kind of under control and everything situated, and we were bringing it to our terminal so we could offload it and deal with it better. And we got to Shawnee, and the second truck blew up. Well, and so we dealt with that, got everything handled. We started looking and investigating as to, why would this truck possibly blow up? It's hydrochloric acid, which is not explosive, and a bunch of computer monitors that are stretch wrapped, in the truck. So those shouldn't be things that would explode. Well, the floor of these particular trailers was an aluminum floor.
Okay.
When I started looking into it and searching and trying to figure out what was going on, well, when hydrochloric acid spills on aluminum, the chloride part of the hydrochloric acid attaches to the aluminum, and the hydrogen comes off as hydrogen gas.
Right. Wow.
This
is where the chemistry, I'm just like, my mind is blown. Oh my goodness.
And then the stretch wrap on the computer monitors.
Yes.
You know how if you take like a clothing bag or any of that stretch wrap material,
Yes.
you rub it and you get static sparks.
Yes.
So the hydrogen gas was building up in the trailer, and then the static would have a spark, and that spark would ignite the hydrogen gas and blow the trailer up. And this is enough of an explosion that it blew the back doors and the top off of a semi-trailer.
Oh my goodness. And this is something that, of course, they, the people transporting had no idea or would have thought about.
No, and they hauled this kind of thing on a regular basis. The research that we did through this thing to try to track down exactly what was going on, the problem was the people that were shipping the 5-gallon containers of hydrochloric acid had left the containers sitting outside, and the sun had affected the plastic containers.
Yes.
And so they were cracking and leaking out the hydrochloric acid. If the container had dumped out the whole thing and spilled a bunch in there, that it probably would not have created the gas level to create the explosion. The small amount of acid spreading out over the aluminum floor created just a perfect storm.
Right.
And it took, this is a few minutes to tell you what happened. This took several days to figure
Oh,
out.
I can imagine.
As
Just
to
this
why
mystery
this actually
of
happened.
why these
Right.
items, when it doesn't seem like a common occurrence or something that would just be expected.
Right, sure. So we get oddball things, and we're known for dealing with the more unusual and harder to deal with items. Our project coordinators and project managers are the kind of the cream of the crop in the industry, as being best trained, best knowledge to deal with any type of an unusual or a strange situation, to work through how to make the things work out the best.
Wow. So you really, I kind of touched on this earlier, but truly every single project you have is completely different. Everything. I'm sure you start to see some, common things, in different situations, but still, you just from all different kinds of materials. And I know this kind of leads into, let's talk about the type of materials that you do get and kind of what you guys do with those when you get them at your location here.
Okay, all right, you talking about the materials for that we bring in for product distribution?
Yes, let's go into project distribution.
Okay,
Yes.
Product distribution is a program that we set up over 20 years ago because of seeing materials that were coming in that were still good usable materials, but the container was dented. Or one example is a pallet of cherry stain that a forklift backed into the corner of, and it busted 2 1-gallon cans.
Wow.
The rest of the pallet,
Little tiny
Yeah,
1 gallon
one
cans.
can.
Yeah, 1 gallon, yeah.
Right. And so the rest of the pallet was still good, but the consignee that was receiving that pallet said, no, you busted those and you've spilled stain on the outside. We're not going to accept it.
Okay.
Well, the transporter has no other place to go with it, so they set it up for disposal.
Got ya. And that's where you guys come in.
That's where we
the
come in.
disposal part. Okay.
So we started looking at these things that we were getting in that people could use. So we would take the material. Now we still charge the transportation company
Sure.
or the shipper, whoever has the material. We charge them to bring it in, and then we give the material away. And a lot of it goes to Habitat for Humanity, the Boy Scouts, cities, the state veterinary association. They come and get. We get a lot of cleansers and cleaners that are outdated shelf life. Not only do we get damaged things, we get things that, like a cleaning agent at a hospital that has a short shelf life. If it goes out of date, then they have to dispose of that. But the guys in the vet clinics, they don't care if it's out of date, it still works. And they can take it and use that. So it's just a very wide variety of people. One batch of material that we received 4. They were palletaners, and it's a cardboard box the size of a pallet that's 4 feet square and 4 feet tall.
Okay.
All 4 of these were full of the little brushes that a dentist uses. They put the brush on when they polish your teeth.
Oh, yep.
They're
The
little
little
disposable
tiny-
brushes.
right, yes.
Okay. We had 4 palatiners full of those.
Oh my, that's a lot.
And the person that deals with the product distribution called the Indian Health Center. And they were thrilled to come get those and then distribute them out through the Indian health system. You know, there was nothing wrong with them at all. And we, you know, anything that's in transit we may get. There's
You get all kinds of things.
Right.
It's a wide variety of things you guys pick up.
Absolutely.
Light bulbs.
Right.
Lots of light bulbs.
We get light bulbs. We have sometimes we get pallets of beer.
I know, I've heard this. And wine and
We've gotten wine
right?
from Rex,
Right.
other types of alcohol. A few years ago, we had a lot of diced tomatoes, 55-gallon drums of diced tomatoes. So we get all kinds of things, feed materials, fertilizers, all kinds of things. There's about 60,000 different chemicals that are transported daily across the U.S., so we can get any of those, plus anything else that could be affected.
right.
There's a ruling under federal motor carrier it's called a poison violation. So if you have a feed or food item in a trailer and then someone loads a drum that is labeled a poison, then that whole trailer of food or feed is condemned. So those things come to us a lot of times, and we can't give it away or utilize it as food or feed,
Right.
but we try to find other options for it.
Okay.
And we'll try to do things that where we can utilize things. We look for sources. We had a big clean out item for the railroad a few years ago, where ADM was shipping cottonseed meal that is used as an animal feed,
Okay.
and the railroad lost. And it was either 2 or 3 rail cars full of this material. They were bulk hopper cars, and it sat there on the siding. And then they realized they found it. And by the time they had sat there for 2 or 3 months, and the material had stuck together, and it was hard, and it couldn't be gotten out of the cars through the normal process. So the railroad hired us to come in and pull all this out and get rid of it. Well, instead of taking that cottonseed meal and taking it into a landfill, we took it and applied it to some farm fields and disked it in as soil conditioner. And the cottonseed meal has a pretty good fertilizer content because of the natural items that are there. And the organic matter that's there is fabulous for soil conditioning and loosening the soils. So we saved the railroad a fair amount of money by being able to do that instead of taking it, and we saved landfill space instead of
Right.
dumping all that in the landfill.
Right.
And that's the thing with our product distribution. We're trying to save from taking things that are good and usable into a landfill and let people get use out of them. There's a lot of people around the state of Oklahoma that have painted corrals and barns with $250 a gallon aircraft paint. So,
Right, 'cause they got it from you.
Right,
Yeah.
so-
Right. That's neat. So I think that's what's really one thing that when I first learned that you guys did that, I just thought that was amazing because you really are doing some good. You're doing a good thing.
We try
you
to.
Well, yeah, you do. I mean, it's a complicated, what you do can be very complicated, as far as learning where things go and how you can do it and all of that. And your staff has to have a vast amount of knowledge. I know when you guys get them, you hire someone, you get them trained. I can only imagine how much they need to learn because you have so many different facets, within your company. But I just think that's neat. I think that's neat that you guys give back. You may not see it like that, but that's kind of the way I look at it. Is you're giving back because, like you said, you're saving. You're doing good things for the environment, which
Right.
is good since it goes with your name. But also, there could be people in need, like you said, Habitat for Humanity,
Right.
different nonprofits that can save money by using this material. So I just think that's really neat. So if someone wanted to learn what all you have available, as far as with the product distribution, what's the best way for them to look at that list?
They can go to our website, which is emiok.com, and then there's a link on there that says product distribution. They click on that link, and then it'll show them what is there at that point in time.
Okay.
And of course, that changes, and I think that's updated every 2 weeks. I know they try to do it every 2 weeks, because we get 2 to 6 semis a week of material.
Right.
So we're handling a lot of material, and it doesn't stay around very long. So if someone goes on, they see something, they need to call our office and talk to the people in product distribution and say, I would like to come pick up this material.
Awesome. Okay. Very cool. So that kind of leads into, talking about doing good. I know that it's a big passion of yours and everyone at EMI to do good in the community. And you guys have been, how have you been part of the chamber since the beginning? I know you guys have been chamber members, obviously long before I've been around, but,
right.
You guys have been a long time community partner with not just the chamber, but other organizations as well. I know one thing that sticks out to me, just since I've been here in 2.5 years, that I've loved watching you guys do is you guys are a pace setter for the United Way,
yes.
the Loudoun County United Way. So let's kind of talk about that. What are some ways that you guys have some fun out there for United Way?
Well, and really all of that credit needs to go to Crystal Florida.
Yes.
She is the one that takes care of that and
is.
spends lots and lots of hours
She does.
working hard and putting those things together.
Yes.
But over the years of being a pace setter and building and doing different things and Crystal comes up with different project things of water guns and water balloons and all kinds of things to have people compete and build more money for things for the United Way. But we've also been able to bring in a lot of our vendors and clients that bring material in that we put in our auctions that are there that help to raise a lot of money in that process. Yeah, and we couldn't raise the kind of money that we do just with our own activities.
Right.
There's a lot of other people that help us and support us and bring things in. I know I think they had 4 or 5 different segments of auction because they had so many things to auction. They would auction off one batch and then auction off another batch to run through the silent auction program this year.
I know I even participated. I went out there to drop something off or say hi or something, and next thing you know, I'm buying auction items. Crystal sucked me in. Crystal or Jamie or one of the gals out there. No, I think that's really neat. I think you guys are a wonderful example to our community of ways that, one, you can have fun. It's a fun thing for your employees.
Yes.
How many employees do you all have?
We have 50.
50 employees. Okay. Right. So that's a medium-sized company, and trying to keep that many people engaged. I just think that's awesome because they can, and it's, with United Way, you can have take it out of your check. Right. And then you could do as little or as much as you want. But by adding all these extra competitions and games and auctions and things, you guys are, like you said, able to raise a large amount of money every year for United Way. So that's just kind of one of the things. What are some of the other things that you love about being in Guthrie? Like just some of your favorite things about our community?
Well, I think the ease of being able to do things in the community. The traffic flow is not that bad. We can get around.
Except for school pickup line. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. My friends in Dallas would be like, you need to be quiet.
Right,
yeah.
Right, absolutely. And we're out of town in a rural setting, and we have really good highway access, so it's easy for us to get out and go places. And with Guthrie being kind of the center of the state, it helps us for getting out and doing work activities. And of course, from our facility, here in Guthrie, then we go to North Texas and to New Mexico and Kansas and Arkansas fairly routinely with things. Just the Guthrie, I guess the mindset of people in general is a good facility area. When we first came to Guthrie, though, I'd have to tell you a little story about things. We had been out there about, maybe 2 years, and a gentleman that I knew showed up with another local gentleman from Guthrie, and I won't bring up any names, but they had been at the coffee shop, and the one gentleman said, I don't know what all illegal stuff those people are doing, but they got to be doing a bunch of things illegal because they go in and out at night a lot.
Oh, okay.
And
I could see that. I could see where they might think you're up to something over there.
Right. So the other gentleman that knew what we did
Right.
brought him out to the terminal. We gave him a tour, and we explained to him that trucks don't just wreck in the daytime.
Right.
And so we have people
24-hour
on call
response.
24/7,
Right.
and so we do have things in and out at night a lot,
Right.
for going out to truck wrecks and other issues and incidents that occur, at night. And some of the local people were a little standoffish at first about us. But I think that, and there were some complaints called in to DEQ about, they've got these lagoons that they're doing things and they're putting waste in these lagoons.
Right.
And our lagoons are actually where our guys fish at lunch and afternoon, they're fish ponds. And so, and we've
those
worked
lagoons,
through that.
gotta watch it.
Yeah. So we've worked through those
Yeah.
things. And I think most of the people around Guthrie understand what we do, and we've been well accepted in the community.
Yeah.
And and we've done things with I was on the chamber board in the 90s.
I heard that.
So
yes.
a long time I was on the
Yes.
economic development board. So we've done different things, and Jamie has done a lot of activities
Yes.
with different groups here in town. And so has Crystal.
Yes.
A lot of our people have done those
All
things.
of your staff. You've got a school board.
Yep.
School board member now that's on the school board that
Yeah.
working out there. And you guys are just always, you guys stick out to me as not just one of our chamber investors, but just a company that kind of sets the precedence, I feel like, for others. That, you guys are always trying to be involved, whether it's some way to give back, sponsor something, volunteer. I mean, your staff and everything is just, I know you know this, but I'm just saying it from my point of view
Sure.
too. It's just
Absolutely.
incredible. And people know who EMI is. And if you don't, then hopefully you've
Right.
learned something today.
Right. Sure.
Because what you all do is definitely unique. There's nobody in our area doing what you do that I know of, to the same capacity. And, but you guys don't just stay out there. I say out there because I'm looking this way, east of town. You guys are invested. Right. You guys pour back in. And I just want to say thank you for all that you guys do to partner with us and all the different organizations in the community, because it's amazing.
We try to do things where we can benefit and help the whole community. Not very often, but when there's big, like a wildland fire or big areas that are fire situations, we will take our tankers and fill them with water, and then we can go to the fire lines and fill up the brush pumpers and move large volumes of water to help them do those kind of things.
That's awesome.
That's
See, I
one
didn't know
example.
that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
always learn something new every episode. I learned something new from someone. I love that. Yeah,
Right.
I didn't know that. That's amazing.
And normally if we have a damage from a tornado or storms, we normally have our guys volunteering to go out, and we go out and try to help with cleaning streets and roadways and taking big equipment, which we have, to try to help the local population to get things back to normal, as quick as possible, to open up roadways and things of that nature. So.
That's awesome. Well, I think you guys are incredible. You got some really good cornhole players too.
Oh, okay.
I will say they participate in cornhole every year. So yeah, but I think that what you guys are doing to give back and you're serving the country. Like you said, you're nationwide. You're have partners nationwide. And anyway, I thank you for your time today. I thank you for what you guys do. Hopefully you all listening or watching learn something new about EMI. If you have any questions, just reach out to them. They're on Facebook or emiok.com. Yes. Is there anything else you want to add that we might not have covered?
I think that we've covered things pretty well.
Yes, awesome. Thank you. And thank you for sharing some stories and different things
Sure.
with me. I really enjoyed that. So I'm sure we could go on and on because, again, every project has probably
Lots of very unusual
a
ones.
different story. So
Yes.
anyway, all right. Well, thank you all for tuning in, and be sure to tune in next time. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to the Chamber Vibes podcast from Second Banana Media Studios in beautiful downtown Guthrie, America.